Welcome back to Boxwood Avenue. If this is your first time here, my name is Chloe. I write the blog Boxwood Avenue. I share everyday tips for simple living. I've got interior design inspiration. I share some of my ranch life. I've got recipes. I hope you'll stop by and check it out. Today I am filling up my summer planters. So I ran to the hardware store and I got some roses, some hydrangea, some lavender topiaries, which my friend Julie Blanner, she had gotten some lavender topiaries and I loved them so much, so she totally inspired me to go on the hunt for some. I found mine at Home Depot. She said she found hers at Lowe's, so I hope that you guys can find some too if you like them as much as I do. So I want to show you some inspiration today for how you can fill up your summer planters. They add so much to a porch or a patio, and I'm really excited to show you what we do. So let's get started. So when I was at the hardware store, they had like a rack full of flowers that were all wrapped up, and they were just getting them ready. And when I first got there, these were not out. By the time I was done shopping, they had these on display and priced. So I picked up 5 of these, sorry, the goats. I picked up 5 of these iceberg roses. These are awesome because they are super cold hardy. They bloom all season long. They were $10 each. They grow to be huge, so you can plant them in the ground. I'm going to plant them in my planters, and then I'm going to plant a few of them in the front of my house too once the frost has passed. So those are my first flowers. I'm really excited to watch these bloom all summer long. Last year I planted some hydrangea in my potted plants, and I loved how beautiful they were all season long, so I picked up a couple hydrangea. Unfortunately, the plants that I planted last year didn't make it through the winter. They died off, or else I probably could have reused them. Hydrangea are one of my favorite flowers, so I'm excited to put these in my planters too. Whenever I'm putting together planters, I always buy some sort of ground cover, something that's going to droop over the side of the planter. I think that it makes it really beautiful. So I picked up a couple of these just white flowering ground cover plants that I'm going to plant on the edge. I'll kind of plant them almost sideways, so that way they really spill out over the side of the planter. And then I got some more lavender too, because I always love lavender. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Last year's planters still have some of last year's dead plants in them, so I got to clean those out. I've got my planters filled with some styrofoam. This helps with drainage, and it makes them so that they're not very heavy, and I didn't have to fill them completely with potting soil. So I've got that last third filled with potting soil. I'll add a little bit of new potting soil. I'll get those planters cleaned up, and I can't wait to show you what they look like when we're done. These are vintage dolly tubs. So the story that I've heard is that these used to be washing tubs in England, and they would wash clothes in there, and they called the women dollies that would wash them, so they would call dolly tubs. Who knows if that's true? Maybe they were just trying to sell me things. But I think they're great. They are vintage, and I brought them over from High Point. So let's get started. I think I'm going to plant the topiaries first. So I've got 2 of these big tubs, and I got 2 topiaries, and I envision the topiaries coming out of the center and then roses spraying out below them. So let's hope that we can turn my vision into reality. So I've got a couple of the iceberg roses on either side of my topiary. I sort of built my topiary up because it fell down in, and then I lost the effect of the topiary. Wow. And then I've got my ground cover here in the front, which I'm hoping will just spill over. And then I've got some filler flowers in the back just to fill everything out. So I think this turned out really beautifully. I'm going to pack it with a little bit more dirt. I'll give it a nice drink, and then I'll get on to my other one. I don't typically go for color, but when I saw this beautiful rose bush, I had to have it. This is a great plant for colder climates. It's good down to -15. I wanted to make note that plant food or rose bush food shouldn't be underestimated. You can also get hydrangea food, and it really does help. Just make sure that you dilute it properly, because if you add too much plant food, it will cause your flowers to bloom, 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 and then die. So all of the energy will have come sort of at one time, and then it can kill the plant. So just make sure that you use it properly, but it really does help your plant. Putting your summer planters together, I always think it's important to think of layers, kind of like when you're decorating your home too. So I've got different layers here. I've got my tall topiary, which is the top layer, and then I've got things cascading down so that it has a lot of dimension. When I'm putting together flower arrangements or my planters, I like to think of one color scheme and then sort of go from there. So I've got purples and whites, and then shades of lavender throughout. If you're looking for more summer patio inspiration, I'm joining a ton of my blogging friends on my blog, so I'll put a link to that blog post in the description below, and you can go check it out. I know my friends would love if you go visit them too. I hope that this video inspired you to get outside and get a jump start on your summer planters. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and visit me at boxwoodavenue.com.